So I see many videos like this often, right, on TikTok. Like, what am I doing wrong? Nothing is selling. New whatnot seller. What am I doing wrong? Sold 0 items on my whatnot live. What happened? How are you all getting sales? And I really do. I feel for these resellers. A lot of time goes into sourcing these products, and a lot of time goes into setting up, especially a whatnot live sale. But we definitely have to talk about some things that are going wrong. Many mistakes that I do see, especially first time resellers making. Hi, I'm Shell. Welcome to Destiny Dreams, a place where we explore many different avenues around reselling and thrifting, sourcing of all of the vintage goods, and taking a look at things that typically tend to go wrong. We're going to call out some scummy sellers, some scammers, and some grifters. And we're going to look at things that we as resellers can be doing better, offering tips and tricks. So please hit that subscribe button, please hit that like button, and feel free to join in on the conversation on how we can make things better and how we can be successful as a full community. So today we're going to be looking at what I consider the top 10 mistakes that many new resellers and some experienced resellers tend to make. So let's get right into it. So these are in no particular order, really, because I feel like each one kind of knocks into the other, right? But sourcing things that only you like is not going to work out very well. So think about your style. Think about whether or not, even if you're doing clothing, if you're doing vintage decor, if you're doing collectibles, even if you're doing sports memorabilia and sports collectibles, if you only source the teams that you enjoy, if you only source the Atlanta Braves, like if I only went out and sourced Atlanta Braves items, I would be pigeonholing myself into a very niche market, right? Of just Atlanta Braves fans, Atlanta collectors. If I was only collecting granny core and cottage core, I would be only catering to that specific niche, right? So there's many other variations like MCM and Coquette and all these other styles that are out there that people love. And if you want to cast a broad net for your clientele, you gotta source things that maybe even you don't like. I am not a fan of MCM. Just not into it. But it is popular. It is sought after. There are many furniture pieces from mid-century modern that are selling very well, even as is or restored. And so when I'm going out and I'm seeing these pieces, especially if the source price is right, I need to go ahead, pick it up, do my due diligence, and knowing that yes, I need to respect that it is MCM, so not just maybe slap a coat of paint on it and make it pink like I would want to. But, really truly do right by that piece and serve the community and the clientele that are looking for that piece. So please, as you're sourcing, even if it's a sweater that you don't think you'd like, pay attention to the trends. See if they've recently sold. It may be an item that is actually pretty sought after, even if you don't like it. And next up is photos inside the listing. Y'all, when I saw this one, I'm like, please, this has to be rage bait. This has to be not real. This has to be photoshopped. I still hope it is because it doesn't quite look like a correct shadow, but this happens. So there are people that will have listing photos that have dog hair all over the item, that are laid out on a floor that maybe hasn't been vacuumed in 10 to 20 business days. Or worse, you can see piles of trash or bugs around the vicinity, dirty kitchen counters, etc. Y'all clean your nails. if your hands are going to be in the photos, if it's something you're holding, please clean your nails. Please. The photos are very important. Make sure, especially with clothing and all breakable items, that you're doing any close-up photos of any call-outs. If there's snags, rips, tears, chips, cracks, stains, etc., please have detailed photos of that and call that out in your description. But also take a photo of every side of the piece. That's underneath, that's the right side, the left side, the top, the back. The biggest reason for this is if the buyer opens a claim against you and you do not have a photo of every square inch of that item, and there happens to be maybe a ding or a scratch or a stain or whatever that might look like on, like, let's say the underside of a cardboard box, right? And you did not show that in your photos, they can say item not as described, and you are going to lose that case. And that item is either going to come back to you, or worse, it's not going to come back to you and you're still going to lose your money and the buyer's going to have a free item. So please, detailed photos. If the platform that you're posting on accepts 20 photos, then take 20 photos. If it only accepts 10 to 15, this is the only time that I really say maybe like a collage photo is okay if the platform accepts those, and those are allowed, of like brand tags and sizing tags and the makeup, the materials, etc. As many photos as you can possibly get of every detail. Next up is titles and descriptions. So far too many times I also see people post like, why are my items not selling? And then I go out and I look at maybe their Depop account and it says blue sneaker as the title. I have never in my life gone looking for blue sneaker if I am searching for a specific item. Do your research. Use Google's image reverse. If there's a SKU on the item, if it's clothing, use the SKU. Just take a picture of the barcode and run it. Get the exact name of the item, right? So if I am going to sell this hat, I'm not going to put leave it with me, I protect the family hat. I'm going to put Taylor Swift official merchandise, father figure, leave it with me, I protect the family, black cap. And I'm probably going to put adjustable. Because every little detail that you put into that title matters for search optimization. Because if somebody is just searching willy-nilly for something, you want as many keywords to be in your title and your description so that your item populates on their search results. In your description, make sure that you are calling out anything such as any snags or flaws or chips or cracks, stains, etc. But also make sure that you're being as descriptive as possible. If you know a backstory to an item, if you know that an item is from the 1930s and it was produced by a hatters union, call that out. Put in there what you've learned about that item. All of the information that you can provide is absolutely imperative to your buyer. One, it creates trust. They feel like, oh, this person's not just tossing stuff up right onto the marketplace. They've done their research. They've sourced this item ethically, and they are giving me the most information possible. I feel a little bit better about purchasing this item because I feel less of a chance of getting scammed. I feel like it's actually in the hands of this seller, and I can trust that I'm making a good sound purchase here. So please be descriptive. Use the actual names of the items in your titles. Do not let AI title things for you. It's usually wrong. Next up is shipping information. So on any different platform, there are going to be different types of shipping policies. So Mercari, in fact, they just announced that they're raising their rates as if they weren't bad enough. But each platform has their own contracts and things like that, and negotiations with each postal service, whether that's USPS, whether that's FedEx, UPS, DHL, etc. And so you want to be mindful that you're choosing the appropriate shipping that's going to be best for the buyer. Now, something that I do is, especially for breakable items, I try to choose the most cost effective but least time in transit. Because y'all, I can't be trusting. I cannot be trusting my items that are breakable to be taking a trip cross country when it should only be going like 200 miles. So I typically do put in my listings even that this is why you're paying a little bit more in shipping. One, because this item is going to be packed properly, right? And I want it to have the least time in transit so that it ensures that it gets to you in the safest manner, fingers crossed, hopefully. But do be mindful. So one thing that Mercari will get you on is dimensional weight. If you do not put the dimensions of the package that you are going to use, and you do not put in the weight that is appropriate to after you have packed that item, they are going to come back and they are going to charge you, and it's going to be ugly. Sometimes it's upwards of $30 to $40 ugly, because they're not going to charge you the rate that you would have paid had you entered it incorrectly. They're going to charge you an outrageous amount over what the standard shipping would have been. So what could have been $33 is now going to be $41 because you did not enter the proper dimensions. So yes, that means that you have to decide what box it's going to go into, how much padding it's going to take in order to properly protect this item. You know, if it's a shirt, is it easy enough to fold up and put into, just a bubble mailer? That's great. If so, put that in appropriately into each different platform that you're using. Yes, that does mean that you can't just, go in and it's going to be the same for all. If you are using cross-platform, cross-posting, like Vendu or anything like that, or any other softwares that are cross-posting for you, be mindful. Be really mindful that you are double checking all of your shipping policies, because sometimes it's not always accurate and it will come back to bite you. So speaking of packaging and shipping, please protect your breakable items. Even if you don't think it's breakable. So things like acrylics and hard plastics can be crushed and can be cracked and broken in shipment, because y'all, they just be drop kicking stuff out here. Even if you put a fragile sticker on it, they don't care. That's just for you. That's just for you to feel better about the fact that you've sent it off out into the world to thrive on its own. They don't care about that sticker. So back in December, I ordered some plates and I wanted them for Christmas dinner. And this is how they arrived. You guys, look at all that space. All that space in the box. So they put one tiny thin layer of bubble wrap that was it was no thicker than this piece of lace. It wasn't. In between each plate, there were 12 plates in this box. And they used an Amazon box. You can see how wrinkly and crinkly it is. That looked like it had been used 4 or 5 times over. They just sat it down in the box. Yeah, it fits. And the little bit of bubble wrap in between each plate. And there was probably a good 2 inches on each side. Those plates were having a party inside this box the whole way to me. Just shifting around, bouncing around, clanking around on each other. I don't know how 8 of them survived, honestly. The rest broke. And the seller acted like I was crazy. I was like, hey, so just for future knowledge, these should have been packed properly and double boxed. That is the best way to ship plates, is to double box them. I'm glad to make another video on that if you'd like, on how to properly pack an item and the supplies to use that are cost effective and that don't drive up your shipping rates. But please, I know you want to use the least amount of shipping supplies possible. I can link some things below on my Amazon storefront that you can utilize that. Yes, I will make commission off of that if you use that. Also, you don't have to use it. You can just search it up. You can just search it up. But please, please protect your items. Yes, it adds weight. Yes, it ups the shipping cost. But trust me, if your buyer wants to get this dish in one piece, they're going to understand, especially if you call it out in the description, that the packaging, the protection that you're using does add weight, therefore shipping is X, Y, and Z. They're going to understand because they would rather get that item whole than get it and be sad. Nobody wants to be sad, especially right now. Next up is not cross-posting and not advertising. Listen, as a reseller, you're also in marketing. If people don't know you have items for sale, they may not find your items for sale. This means utilizing as many platforms as possible. I get it. It takes time. There is software out there that's available that can cross-post for you. I'm not in love with any of them just yet. There are some I'm trialing, but I haven't found one that I'm like, yes, I love this. Not yet. So I am manually posting to eBay, to Vinted, to Poshmark, to Mercari, who is my least favorite. Some clothing goes on Vestiaire. What else do I use? I think that's it. I don't use Whatnot. Hey, my Whatnot people, I love you and you are still my people, but I don't use Whatnot, and that's for many various reasons. But if you are going to use a platform, use multiple platforms. Not everybody buys from Mercari. The fees are outrageous. And not everybody buys on Poshmark. Maybe they've been burned before. Maybe they've been banned. I don't know. But not everybody buys from, all platforms. They're not out there looking at every single platform. There are some people that are strictly eBay because the buyer protection policies are very strong on eBay. They're typically going to side with the buyer most times. But there are people that just buy on one specific platform. If you are not on there, you are not going to reach your target audience. So yes, cross post, but also share your posts. I find the most success. I do share many to my direct website, but then also I share them to Pinterest. So I've created a board for like Shell Destiny on eBay, Destiny Dreams on Mercari, etc. And I will share that listing. It's simple. You go right into it, share listing right off of the platform if you're in Mercari or if you're in eBay, Poshmark, etc. And I share to Pinterest, and then I put it in my appropriate board so that it's out there. If people are looking at Pinterest for pink bow cups and you're selling your Stanley, do not sell counterfeit Stanleys. We only sell real Stanleys. Do not sell counterfeit. And do not be there in line to be the scummy one that is going to grift and be a scalper. You only sell it if you have it and you don't want it. Otherwise, we're selling vintage items. But if I am looking for that item, if I'm looking for this heart shelf behind me, and I'm looking at Pinterest for ideas and maybe ones that I can find, maybe I come across your listing. I click it. Oh, it's still for sale. Purchase now. Listen, an impulse buy is still a sale. Just saying. But yes, definitely cross post. Share to your Instagram story. That's another great place for you to have it. Set up a highlight on your Instagram of all your things for sale on the different platforms. They get seen not only by your followers, unless you're private. Listen, if you have a private Instagram, sure, share it, definitely. Maybe your, friends, family will find something that they like. But I do encourage you that if you are a reseller, to have a public Instagram. You can have both. Not everybody wants to share their life story with, their customer base. So definitely, I encourage you to have a business profile for Instagram, for Facebook, etc., and share all of your listings. Share those to each of those platforms. You'd be surprised how many people will come across them. Next to last is using the promote feature willy-nilly. Listen, especially platforms like Depop, Vinted, now Poshmark's really pushing one. They want you to promote. eBay will tell you, oh, you need to promote this item and you need to lower the cost of this item. If you promote it, 30% more people will see it. Please be strategic in your promoting. This kind of correlates with your pricing as well. If you have goofy low pricing, which I encourage you not to, please price your items at market value and what they're worth. You've put work into it. Price them accordingly. If you have a $5 item, now this is a true story. Listen, true story. A friend of mine found some of those old banana clips. If you are not old enough to remember the neon banana clips that held our hair up, bless you. I bet your skin looks amazing still. But if you remember those banana clips, they came in like a pack of 3. He came across like a whole box of these, right? And he got a ton of them for very low cost, still packaged like a pack of 3. He put them on eBay for like $4, which is about 3 times less than he should have put them on there for. But put them on there for $4, and then he promoted the item. So eBay, depending on the promotion that you choose, eBay will charge you, the seller, every time somebody clicks on that listing, whether they buy it or not. Anytime it shows up in somebody's search feed, they click it, you're being charged a certain amount, usually a certain percentage of the cost of the item, and it's going to totally drain your profit. By the time that item sells and you pay the fees, you've either lost money, more than likely, because that was goofy low, or you've hopefully maybe broken even, or sometimes worse is making like 10 cents. It's like almost insulting. Be mindful of using the promote. I only promote items that are high value and that are a little bit more rare. For instance, I promoted an Oklahoma genealogy book not too long ago that I had listed on eBay for $125. I paid about $10 for the book at an estate sale, and I did use the promote feature. Now, I set it to only promote for 24 hours, and my max payout was $3. So it did sell, and it was delivered today, in fact. So the promote feature only cost me $3. So even after fees and everything, since it was a book, the shipping was low. So I also paid the shipping because it's media mail. And so take that in consideration as well. So it was $125 for the buyer, free shipping. They paid tax, of course. Then I had $3 come out for the promo. It was $11 to ship because this book was big and heavy. And then I paid my eBay fees. So I still walked away making over $90 profit, even taking the $10 from the book. So you got to think those things through. Because a lot of times promote isn't worth it. Sometimes it can be, but many times it is not. So use your brain to be selective on what you promote and what platform you're promoting on. Last but not least, bookkeeping. Listen, please, if you are reselling for anything more than just a hobby, if you are hoping to make profit, whether you're hoping to make just a couple $100s a month, or whether you want this to be your full-time income, or you just want to supplement a little bit, maybe you're wanting to earn the money for a vacation, right? Listen, bookkeep. You want to put what you paid for the item, where you got the item, because take into consideration that your time, how far you traveled, the mileage, etc. that you used, that's all a tax write-off, by the way. This is not tax advice, but pay attention to those things if you're doing a Schedule C. That's just saying. But in this, and it can be as simple as just spreadsheet, just on your computer. It doesn't have to be fancy. There's software out there. There's some really cute spreadsheets and stuff like that on Etsy that people have made for like Google Docs and Microsoft Excel and my favorite Pages, with Apple. But there's also just a boring ass spreadsheet. Just open one up and title it, and you put when you bought it, you bought where you bought it, you put how much you paid for it, and then I would even put your comps. Like when you look it up, when you reverse image search, when you're doing your research, what does it comp at? And then you mark it as sold, once sold, and you put how much it sold for. Now, if you're buying boxes, if you're buying tape, if you're buying bubble wrap, if you're buying the inflatable little air bubbles, which have become my favorite, if you're buying all your supplies and things like that, it goes on the spreadsheet. Because then you can divide it up. If you bought 50 boxes and you sold 50 items and you bought those boxes for $20, I'm not good at math, but let the spreadsheet do the math as to how much you need to upcharge, put into your cost of goods per box, per item, right? Packing tape's the same way. If packing tape typically lasts you 200 items, those pennies trickle out into your cost of doing business. The same with the mileage you put on your car, the gas that you spend, the time that it takes, the cleaning, if you're buying silver polish, if you're buying jewelry cleaner, anything like that, stain, paint, sanding, everything, all of your tools and supplies go on that spreadsheet every single time you purchase. And then at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, you look at everything. Did I make any money? If not, you need to look and see where your downfalls were. Because if you're not charging enough for your items, maybe you're sourcing the wrong items, maybe they're not moving fast enough, whatever that might be. Maybe you're not charging enough for shipping. Maybe you're not charging enough handling within the price of your item. Whatever it may be, go back and look. And then look at your comps. If somebody else, if you sold this bowl for $5 and you paid $2 for it, you've lost money. I will guarantee that you've lost money. You lost money because of your time. You lost money because of your shipping supplies. You lost money because of the fees associated. You lost money. I typically try to make 3 to 5x on most items, but there are times I make way more than that, like the book. I made 10x almost on it because that was market value. So I guess that's another thing. Price your items accordingly. Don't shortchange yourself. Price your items accordingly, but bookkeep. It's a business. Take it seriously. It could become pretty lucrative if you're paying attention to it. Anyways, thank you for spending the time with me. Please leave your comments down below if you have some other tips and tricks, things that you've learned along the way, mistakes that you've made that you're willing to admit to. Lord knows I've got some, but please leave the comments down below. Also, if you are commenting down below, please keep it topic specific. I do not have room for ick in my comment section. I will delete your comments if they are icky and not on topic. There is no place for ickiness with Destiny Dreams. Thank you so much again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I was a little short on posting many videos this week and last week because somebody in my neighborhood cut my fiber. But I'm back. So please join me. I will try to have probably 3 to 4, hopefully maybe 5 videos a week, just around reselling, thrifting, curating, all of the fun stuff. But please do join us. Thanks. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.